Imagine a golfer who seemed to appear out of nowhere, and in his very first PGA Tour season, racked up 10 top 25 finishes and stormed into the top 20 of the official world golf ranking. Crowds got excited, commentators raved about his fearless shot-making, and he was climbing leaderboards as if he'd been there for years. But then, just as quickly, he was gone. No farewell press conference, no explanation, just silence. That was Anthony Kim, golf's brightest mystery. A story that began with promise, vanished in a cloud of speculation, and resurfaced more than a decade later in a way no one could have imagined. Let's go back to where it all started. Anthony Ha-Jin Kim was born in Los Angeles in 1985 to Korean immigrant parents who valued discipline and hard work. He picked up golf at an early age and quickly showed an instinct for the game that set him apart from his peers. At La Quinta High School in California, his aggressive, fearless style of play made him a standout. That edge carried into college at the University of Oklahoma, where he became a three-time All-American and helped lead his team deep into NCAA competition. By the time he was ready to turn pro in 2006, those who had followed him knew they were watching someone built for success. Anthony Kim made a splash in his very first PGA Tour start as a sponsor's exemption at the Valero Texas Open, where he tied for second. A few months later, he secured his tour card at Q School, setting the stage for what would follow. In 2007, his first full season on tour, Kim played like a man who belonged. He teed it up 26 times, made the cut in 20 of those events, and slipped into the top 10 4 times, pocketing over $1.6 million. At the U.S. Open at Oakmont, he fired a brilliant final round 67, jumping from 57th to 20th place, proving he could handle golf's biggest stages. Then came the explosion of 2008. In May, Kim won the Wachovia Championship at Quail Hollow, finishing 16 under to win by 5 shots. It was the biggest margin in that event's history at the time. This also led him into the world's top 20. Just 2 months later, at the AT&T National, he closed with a sizzling 65 to win by 2, becoming the first American under 25-inch more than a decade to snag 2 PGA Tour titles in a single season. He kept the fire going in the FedEx Cup playoffs, with back-to-back third-place finishes at the BMW Championship and Tour Championship, ending the year ranked as high as number 6 in the world. His team event resume was equally impressive. At the 2008 Ryder Cup at Valhalla, Kim went 2-1-1, setting the tone on Sunday by defeating Sergio Garcia 5 and 4-inch singles. A year later, he partnered with Phil Mickelson at the President's Cup at Harding Park to help the U.S. to victory. In 2009, Kim made Masters history by carding 11 birdies in a single round, a Masters record that still stands. The next spring, he won his 3rd PGA Tour title by outlasting Vaughn Taylor in a playoff to win the Shell Houston Open. A week later, he followed it up with a 3rd-place finish at the Masters. By the time he was 25, Kim had 3 PGA Tour wins, big-time performances in the playoffs, and a knack for thriving in team events. Anthony Kim's rise seemed unstoppable until his body had other plans. His career came to an abrupt halt at the 2012 Wells Fargo Championship, where an Achilles tendon injury forced him off the course mid-tournament. The surgery that followed ended his PGA Tour journey. He also underwent several other surgeries on his hand, shoulder, and even the spine, before completely disappearing from view. There was no farewell interview, no press conference, just a vanishing act. Soon after, whispers turned into headlines. Reports claimed Kim had tapped into a lucrative career-ending insurance policy, somewhere in the ballpark of $10 to $20 million, one that would pay out only if he never played on the PGA Tour again. Whether that was the real reason or just part of the story, no one could say for sure. but perception has a way of filling in the blanks. To many, he became the guy who took the insurance money and left, a sellout who'd chosen the easy way out instead of fighting his way back. Fans dissected grainy sightings. Journalists tried to track him down. Stories popped up about him practicing at local driving ranges or being spotted at a Las Vegas casino. But nothing stuck. The man who once thrived in the spotlight had vanished into complete silence. Until, in early 2024, the silence broke. It wasn't the PGA Tour calling, LIV Golf. Out of nowhere, they offered him a wildcard spot, a deal that would bring him back into competition. For Kim, it was the first real doorway back to professional golf in 12 years. The PGA Tour, for their part, didn't slam the door shut. Commissioner Jay Monahan later said Kim was welcome to return, but he would have to earn his way back up. Kim didn't just accept LIV's offer, he embraced it. Not as a comeback in the traditional sense, but as a re-entry on his own terms, to a tour that didn't carry the baggage of his past. Not long after, Kim sat down for his first in-depth interview in over 10 years with David Feherty. It was the first time fans had heard directly from him about the lost years. On the much-speculated millions of insurance payout, Kim refused to give specifics. Instead, he said, "I know public opinion is that I took this money and ran, but that wasn't the case at all. I had multiple surgeries in a few years, and my body is still not what it used to be." Kim also described the emotional and personal struggles that came with stepping away. He revealed that during his 22nd, he'd surrounded himself with the wrong people, including what he called scam artists, who drained him financially and emotionally. Away from the spotlight, he battled issues with addiction and tried to rebuild his life quietly, keeping to himself and focusing on a small circle of trust. He also said what led him back to golf was that his wife started playing and his young daughter showed curiosity. Golf wasn't his dream anymore, but when his family got into it, it started to feel like something he wanted to share with them again. Some fans have long believed the PGA Tour didn't really want Anthony Kim back, in a way, that his decade-long absence was as much about politics as it was about injuries. But here's the truth. The PGA didn't silence Kim. His insurance payout and injuries did. When the chance finally came, rebuilding through the PGA system meant starting from scratch. LIV's offer meant skipping the grind and walking straight into the spotlight. Whether you see that as defiance or practicality, the PGA's lost prodigy was stepping back into the game under a different banner. He didn't return to reclaim his old place. He came back to write his own chapter. The PGA may not have silenced him, but now he's back without ever needing their validation.